3 in a row for the Fightin' Phils. Before we go any further, I got to hear how it ended. A 2-0 deficit became a 3-2 win.
First and second with nobody out. Ground ball, right side, into right field, a base hit. Here comes Schwarber, around third, heading for home. Here's the throw to the plate. Not in time! Bryce Harper wins it. Here in the bottom of the 10th inning, 3-2.
Awesome.
It's the 7th walk-off win of the year for the Phils.
Look, an outstanding job by the Phils last night coming back. Listen to that crowd. I mean, that's great stuff. So look, Harper, I think, the star of the game. Zach Wheeler, obviously, anytime you start, only give up 2 runs, you had a big hand in it. So, too, did the bullpen. So, too, did Grit. Team Grit coming back and finding a way. How about Rojas with the catch? I mean, that was a pretty damn cool game.
Orion Kirkland got out there, did his thing. Hoffman, Estevez, Matt Strom. Yeah. They shut it down, too. That was the type of win that carries.
No, it's good stuff, man.
That was the type of win where you saw Bryce's reaction.
Yeah.
You saw Bryce was ready for that reaction way before the end of that game. You saw he was dialed in. And that this team was performing with a different intensity against a quality opponent.
That's right.
Last night felt good when it was all said and done, but it felt good during the game because it was like, oh my gosh, wow, that's the Phillies team.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like overwhelmingly like blammo, 12 runs, 11 runs, but it was good baseball for the most part. And it was with our leader finally playing a leader.
Well, look, I mean, their 2 best players were, probably their 2 best players last night, Harper and Wheeler. So we'll take your thoughts on the Phils at 215-592-9494. I'll tell you, a lot of people you might not know, but it's not just 3 in a row for the Phils. It's 8 of 12. So that sounds like the Phillies from earlier this year.
A lot better.
Right?
Sounds a lot better.
Because, James, I know as recently as 3 days ago we were all in a bad mood, but when you just take a step back, when you take 2 steps back and you survey the last 2 weeks, you say, oh, my team has actually won 8 of 12. I remember what that felt like. All right, so we'll take your thoughts on the Phils who maintained with the Atlanta Braves last night. Braves win, Phils win. So 215-592-9494 to get in on the Fightin' Phils, and a nice job last night. All right, let's get to the Eagles. So as we referenced a few minutes ago, 10 days now to Brazil. That still sounds weird. Yep, 10 days to Brazil, the Eagles and Packers, Friday Night Football, the whole deal. All right, so we have examined this coming season 27 ways. What's the saying, John? 27 ways from Sunday, and why?
It's a great question.
Why is it all those ways from Sunday? Anyway.
I like till the cows come home.
I mean,
more than 27 ways till Sunday. If I examine something, I want to examine it till the cows come home.
Well, let's put it this way: we've turned it inside and out, flipped it upside and down to try to figure out the little nuggets within the coming season that we should all have our mind on. And I'm curious at 215-592-9494 what you think, despite all of us having talked so much about all the parts of the team. What do you think we have not? I don't mean just me and John and James and Devin and Rhea when she's here. Devin in for Rhea today. But, when we're all here, it's not just what we've talked about, but what you listening have talked about with your friends, perhaps calling into WIP or thought about on your own. What hasn't gotten quite enough discussion? Because a lot of it's gotten a lot of discussion, but there obviously are always some things that are really big deals or more minor deals that could be examined further. And I'm curious, 215-592-9494, what comes to mind for you? Let me give you one. And I got to tell you, this has to be big time on the minds of Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, because they ain't going anywhere. Everyone else, there's a possibility of shuttling in and out. That obviously includes the head coach. It could include the quarterback. It obviously will include the rank and file of the roster. Even a guy like Lane Johnson, I mean, he's probably only going to be here another 2 to 4 years. There's a finite amount of time that people get to be on the team, so to speak. And let me tell you something that I truly believe we have not talked nearly enough about, and it's great to know that Jalen had an excellent training camp. But I want to put this out there as just and in part this might help Jalen stay, but just know the stakes going into the year. It is critical that he be good Really good would be better. Truly great would be best. It is critical that he be good because unlike 4 years ago with Carson Wentz, ladies and gentlemen, there ain't nobody waiting in the wings. There ain't nobody at that position on this roster not named Jalen Hurts waiting in the wings. So when you have A.J. Brown and you have Devontae Smith and you have Dallas Goedert and you got all these parts, like 4 years ago when things collapsed with Carson, and they did, you had a backup quarterback who actually had a shot to be a legitimate starter for years to come, and good for him. Jalen Hurts grabbed the ball and ran with it in those first couple of years, and it really helped to transition. This team right now doesn't have that guy. And this team likely will struggle to get that guy because most teams don't land.
Every team looks and usually doesn't find. Every team out there hopes and prays that they can find a guy who can step in
and it's very
fill
hard
in
to
admirably,
do.
And it's usually a fail.
So while we talk a lot about
that is a luxury above all else.
While we talk a lot about this team this year, I mean, James, you know we also talk big picture Eagles a lot. Jalen better be good because if he's not, the cupboard is bare. Let me tell you something.
Hey, the good thing is he is good. And so the cupboard's not going to be bare. Jalen is that good. And he's spent this entire preseason proving that again and again.
Well, no,
he threw one pick, including practice. He threw one pick this preseason.
Look, I'm happy the way he played.
He
that's
didn't
great.
play in the preseason, so that's the only time he could throw a pick. So I have a major problem with the way the practice part has been conducted.
Well, give me what's on your mind, John, and I want to hear from everyone at 215-592-9494. I don't think there's been enough examination of if he doesn't do well, then what? It actually, in a certain way, could save his job. But let's hope it doesn't even come to that. Let's hope he soars and they soar.
He will soar. He is proving he's capable of soaring. We finally have an offense that will protect him.
Well,
My concern is we haven't even seen that protection.
Hold on. He also proved last year he's capable of crash and burn.
Mm-hmm. Just like everyone else. When
you know what? Not everyone else is getting paid $250 million.
Come on, man. He didn't have a system that even gave him a chance. Now he's got the system, but we haven't seen it. And I can't believe this organization believes only one side of the ball needs to practice to that degree. Think about that. Vic Fangio, the old school, nutty old guy, man, shaking his stick at everything. Yeah, I like it like that. I like him being the ornery, tough, old school coach. That's a good thing, and this team is gravitating toward that. The defensive players, they seem to really enjoy that part. I think it's going to make us tougher. Our offense isn't following the same line of thinking. Think about that. One side of the football is actually playing in the preseason now, and the other side is not.
Yeah, that's right.
That is, it's a step in the right direction, but holy cow. I can't get over this. You don't see this. You don't see this elsewhere.
It really doesn't bother me, John.
Very unusual.
It really doesn't.
Couldn't care less.
Well,
yeah,
we haven't talked about.
All right, then,
how about the fact that I don't believe in this head coach? I think we should all be concerned that we have a head coach that might not be respected at the degree that I think a head coach should be respected. Like that's a big concern. Everyone just accepts that. Hey, Nick's going to take that back seat, and now he'll just delegate, and he'll somehow lead the team in a different role without a hitch? Like, do you really think this is going to be pulled off as smoothly as the Eagles seem to expect? I think it sort of depends upon the players taking a step back and saying, all right, I'll just suspend my disbelief here because everything points to the fact that they don't trust this guy, Nick Sirianni.
It does point to that, yeah.
But I'm supposed to trust him as my head coach. Okay. I guess I'll try to do that.
Well, I will say
you're sending me mixed messages, Eagles organization.
No, that's fair. Mixed messages, I think, is a fair way to frame it. I'll say this. I'm sure the players were a little confused when the whole thing started, and maybe still, hopefully not. The Eagles brass, Lurie and Howie, did send the message to the players. We don't trust Nick to be centrally involved with the offense. We do trust him to be the leader of the team. Now, the players can choose to get on board with that or not, and it's Sirianni's job to try to convince them, so to speak, by being a leader.
We trust him to be the leader of the team beneath the leader of the team that's Howie Roseman beneath the leader of the team that's Jeffrey Lurie.
That's always been a reality. I mean, look, they did win a Super Bowl with Doug with that sort of setup. So,
and
they
Doug
have
left because of that setup becoming too imposing and taking too much power away from the guy who's supposed to be respected above all others.
They also went right back to the Super Bowl 2 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a lot of...
And then
they've made
last
the playoffs
year we had the strange feel of the way it all went down. Like, we are tinkering with a recipe here, and they have not gotten it quite right yet.
Well, look, I'm curious at 215-592-9494. There's the big picture, long-term type of topics like John and I were just talking about. There's also the nitty-gritty of the roster. What you think, while we've examined it, perhaps we haven't hit enough. I mean, what's top of mind for you? Saquon, how involved will he be? I don't expect him to be as involved as John. John and I have a clear disagreement on the usage of Saquon Barkley. I mean, he'll be involved, don't get me wrong, and he should be, of course. But I don't see this as a situation where they pound him. I think they're going to mix and match with the other running backs. I think they're going to try to find a way to get him not only to February, if they play in that game healthy, but also for 2 or 3 years to be an effective Eagle. Let's remember, guys, he's entering year 7. So if you expect 20 carries week 1, I think you're going to be waiting until the end of the game and find out you were wrong. Look, all of it on the table. 215-592-9494. Maybe you're of the mindset to just pound Saquon. Like, what difference does it make? He's not going to be here in 5 years. Maybe your mindset is just run him into the ground and try to get as much as you can while you can. I mean, it's not a crazy argument. Eagles don't owe him anything in 6 years. So maybe the argument is just use him as much as you possibly can. 215-592-9494. All of this. What do you make of it? What have we not discussed enough? What's top of mind for you with the Eagles? Plus the Phils. A fantastic win last night. Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie. It's 94 WIP.